Hey guys, welcome back to One Stop Biology. So guys, there's one more topic left in photosynthesis, which is the factors affecting photosynthesis, right? So we already have studied all the different type of cycles, all the different type of mechanisms which are part of photosynthesis and which helps in photosynthesis. Now let us understand what do we mean by the factors which affects photosynthesis. So guys, before we start off with the topic, please do like the video and share it with all your friends if you do feel that the video is helpful for you. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get all the notifications and keep giving your feedback on the videos. So guys, what do we mean by factors affecting photosynthesis? Now we have to understand one thing, that the rate of photosynthesis, right? The rate of photosynthesis is very important in determining that the yield of plants, right? So including the crop plants, the yield of plants, right, is basically dependent on the rate of photosynthesis, right? Now, as we know that it requires a lot of different factors, and that is why we say that photosynthesis is under the influence of several factors. Now, these factors can be internal or external, right? So this internal and external is dependent on the plants. So it can be the external environmental factors or the internal factors which is inside the plant, right? Now, what are the internal factors? So the internal factors which are dependent on the plant, basically, it will include maybe the number, size, age, orientation of leaves, the mesophyll cells, right? And say chloroplasts as well, right? Then we can have the amount of chlorophyll which is present. Then it can be the CO2 concentration. This is the internal concentration, guys, right? So this is the internal concentration. Now there are a lot of internal factors which drive photosynthesis, right? So basically these factors are dependent on the genetic variation, on the genetic makeup and the growth of the plant. How good is the growth, right? And then we have external factors, right? Now external factors can be the environmental factors, right? Like the sunlight, so basically the availability of sunlight. Then what else can be? The temperature. The external. Now this is external carbon dioxide concentration, right? So external carbon dioxide concentration. The water availability in that particular area, right? So again, as a plant photosynthesizes, all of these factors, internal and external, will simultaneously affect the rate of photosynthesis. And hence, though several factors interact and simultaneously affect photosynthesis and carbon dioxide fixation, usually one factor is the major cause which limits the rate, right? So all the other factors would be contributing, but if one of these factors is not basically supporting the rate of photosynthesis, it will limit the rate, right? So basically, when several factors affect any biochemical process, the Blackman's law of limiting factor, which was given in 1905, comes into effect. Now, what does this law states? This law states that if a chemical process is affected, remember, if a chemical process is affected by more than one factor, then its rate will be determined by the factor which is nearest to its minimal value. So basically, it is the factor which directly affects the process if its quantity is changed. Now let's understand this by a simple example. Now say despite the presence of a green leaf and optimal light and CO2 concentration, the plant may not photosynthesize if the temperature is very low. Now this leaf, if given the optimal temperature, will start photosynthesizing. So the rate of photosynthesis will increase if temperature is at its optimal point, right? So basically there will always be one factor, right, which will affect the rate. Now let's understand the external factors and how exactly they affect the rate of photosynthesis. Now the first factor that we are going to understand is light. Now let's see how light affects photosynthesis, right? So basically, as we understand, there is a linear, we say that the basically the light quality, light intensity and duration of exposure to light. All of these factors contribute, right? That affects photosynthesis. It can be light, quality of light, it can be intensity of light, or duration of exposure of light, right? So basically, there is a linear relationship between incident light and carbon dioxide fixation rate, right? So basically at higher light intensities, gradually does the rate does not show further increase. And as the factor becomes limiting, here what basically visualizing in the graph is that light saturation occurs at 10% of the full sunlight. Hence, except for plant in shades or in dense forests, light is rarely a limiting factor in nature. Light very rarely limits the rate, right? So, increase in incident light beyond a point causes the breakdown of chlorophyll and then it decreases the photosynthesis, right? So there you will find a decrease in photosynthesis. But usually light is not the limiting factor in nature. So as you see in the graph here as well, you increase the light intensity up to a point, rate of photosynthesis will increase. But then from here, right, there will be a stagnant phase, right? And then if the intensity is increased beyond to a point, the chlorophyll breaks down and you will see a decrease in photosynthesis rate, right? So this is light. Now the next factor is carbon dioxide concentration. Now let's see how does this affect the rate of photosynthesis. So carbon dioxide, guys, is a major limiting factor for photosynthesis, and the concentration of CO2 is very low in the atmosphere, which is maybe between 0.03 to 0.04%. Right, so basically increase in carbon dioxide concentration up to 0.05% can cause an increase in CO2 fixation rate. But beyond this level, again it can be damaging over long periods. So the C3 and C4 plants, they respond differently to CO2 concentration. At low light conditions, Neither group respond to high CO2 conditions, and at high light intensities, both show increase in the rate of photosynthesis. Right. Now, there's one important thing to note that at high intensities, at high light intensities, right? So basically, both the plants show increase in rate. Now, C4 plants, they show saturation at around 360 microliter, right? And the C3 responds to increased CO2 concentration. So it is around 450 for them. And that is why current availability of carbon dioxide level is limiting to the C3 plants, right? And this fact that C3 plants respond to higher CO2 concentration by showing increased rate of photosynthesis leads to higher productivity, right? And this has been used for some greenhouse crops such as say, tomatoes, bell peppers, right? And they are allowed to grow in carbon dioxide enriched atmosphere that leads to higher yield of crops, right? So this is all about carbon dioxide. Now the next factor is temperature, and then we have water. Now again guys, temperature, if we talk about temperature, so the dark reaction, right, that is enzymatic are temperature controlled, right? Though light reaction are also sensitive to temperature, they are affected to a very less extent. So basically the C4 plants respond to higher temperature and they show high rate of photosynthesis, while C3 plant, they have a much lower optimum temperature. So the temperature optimum for photosynthesis of different plants also depend on the habitat that they are adapted to. So basically, if we talk about tropical plants, they have a higher optimum temperature, while the plants which are adapted to temperate climates, they have a lower temperature optimum, right? So again, depending upon the habitat, plants respond differently to temperature changes, right? Now, what is basically water and how does it affect the rate of photosynthesis? Now, even though water is one of the reactants in the light reaction, the effect of water as a factor is more through its effect on the plant, right? So rather than directly affecting photosynthesis, it is indirect relation where it affects the plant, and because of that photosynthesis is affected. Now say there is a water stress. Now this water stress causes stomata to close so that loss by transpiration is minimized. Now when the stomata closes, that reduces the carbon dioxide availability as well, right? And because of that, the rate of photosynthesis will decrease, right? Now, apart from this, water stress also makes the leaves to wilt. And because of that, it reduces the surface of area of the leaves and that reduces the metabolic activity as well. Now, again, that affects the rate of photosynthesis. So, there are many factors like this which basically directly or indirectly, these are all the external factors which directly or indirectly affects the rate of photosynthesis, and it is important to understand if one wants to increase the crop yield. So guys, I hope you would have understood all the factors which affect photosynthesis. If yes, please do like the video and share it with all your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get all the updates. And guys, if you have any doubt with respect to this video, please do not hesitate in asking your doubts. Please do mention your doubts in comment of the video, or you can also send in your doubts over WhatsApp. I have already given the WhatsApp number in the description. Thanks for watching this video guys. See you in the next one where we'll be starting a new chapter. Till then, take care. Bye bye.